Welcome to Podcasting Smarter, the podcast for podcasters by podcasters. Podcasting Smarter is the official podcast from Podbean, featuring podcasting interviews, best practices, and helpful tips. We're here to give you the tools, resources, product updates, and news to help you get started podcasting and keep your podcast growing.
Hello everyone. Hello and welcome. Oh my gosh, we are so excited today. We're here with the Descript crew, Descript, however you want to say it. And we're going to talk all about streamlining your podcast production today, which is a really big one because there's an incredible integration between Descript and Podbean where you can literally publish from Descript into your Podbean account so you don't have to download, re-upload content. It really saves time in the process. So we're going to talk about it today, the benefits for your podcast, how you can use it, and so much more. So stay tuned. I'm going to read our brief intro and then we'll jump in. Welcome back, everyone, to Podcasting Smarter and our November live event, Mastering Podcast Editing, a deep dive into Descript and Podbean publishing with Ariel Nissenblatt and Christiana Cromer from Descript, where we're talking all about Descript and the Podbean integration and how to streamline your production process. For those of you who may be joining us for the first time, Podcasting Smarter has live stream sessions like this one with top podcasters and podcast experts. We also have exclusive recorded episodes on Podbean's Podcasting Smarter podcast, where Ariel has also been a guest. Podcasting Smarter is brought to you by Podbean. We're a podcast hosting and monetizing platform and home to over 640,000 podcasts. To start your podcast, head over to podbean.com today. And now we'll jump in and get started. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm so excited to be here with you today, both of you. Descript is just such an incredible platform, and we're so excited about this integration and just the time and like personal bandwidth it saves podcasters. We talk about personal bandwidth all the time at Podbean, and it's something where sometimes those little tasks can really add up to fatigue, right? Where it's just like, oh, I don't want to have to download and re-upload, or, oh, hey, this episode's processing and my attention span's just shot from doing all this detailed editing. So it's something where it's a really, really cool integration. So let's first talk about how the integration works and some of the benefits. Yeah, Ariel, do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, I come from the Squadcast side of things. So I worked at Squadcast for almost 3 years. And then in August, we announced that Squadcast is now part of Descript, which is very exciting because now if you use Descript, if you pay for Descript, you literally get Squadcast for free. It is your remote recording solution. So if you were using Zoom before, you no longer have to use Zoom. You can get high quality audio and video, and you have a free account. And if you were using Squadcast before and not yet using Descript, you just have to pay for Descript, and now you have access to an all-in-one both recording and then editing platform. It's really great. Basically, if you have an account on one, you need to connect it to the other. And if you have an account on the other, you have to connect it to the one that you're not yet connected to. And it's pretty easy to do so. And here's some fun news. If you ever have any issues, we have so many ways for you to get in touch with our support team to really get things ironed out. Number one, we have office hours every single week. We also have help.descript.com. We also have a Facebook group for users, and we have an incredible Discord channel that has 16,000 people in it. And we're constantly helping people through the process of connecting the accounts and making sure that the end product means that they can record on Squadcast and then edit in Descript. And eventually it will be one platform. Right now they are two separate apps, but down the line they will be one.
Yeah,
Christiana,
absolutely.
do you want to add to that?
No, you said it.
It's a really exciting time for you guys. Yeah. I mean, I think Descript as a company, you guys have been growing at an exponential pace. It's something where the acquisition of Squadcast is incredible, and the integration there just on its own is amazing.
Yeah, like on integrations, I think something we've wanted to do from the start is like play really nice with others. Like no matter podcasters, creators use a lot of different tools. And yeah, we want to make it easy for people to get in and get out and do their thing. And yeah, like what you said about tediousness, like creator burnout is so real. So whatever we can do to streamline, whether it's AI workflow or like a very seamless push out to something like Podbean, we try to prioritize that stuff. So.
And it should be noted that before Squadcast was part of Descript, we had an integration similar to Podbean's integration with Descript. It was just made it very easy if you recorded your podcast on Squadcast for you to press just a few buttons and have that file or those files available for you to edit in Descript. Now it's one button, so it is unbelievably easy. And like I said before, soon it will be one app. I don't know how soon, our roadmap team, we're figuring that out behind the scenes, but that's the goal, is that eventually everything will be extremely seamless. You will not be able to tell the difference between Squadcast and Descript. It'll just be Descript. But for now, Squadcast, Descript work together in harmony.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think it's something where, as so many podcasters out there have like podcast fatigue, it's something where the more tools that can streamline your process, that's really what we're about here at Podbean, right? Making your life easier as a podcaster, right? Making your podcast more successful through any publishing hack, any time saver, any new technology that's really going to increase your quality of life as a podcaster. Because we know from the content creation side how much work goes into a podcast, how much work goes into what podcasters create. So we're just so excited to talk with you guys all here today about Descript and Podbean and how that integration can really shorten your production time. So first off, before we do like a screen share or anything like that, in terms of exporting the content, let's walk the users through what that process is like. So Descript is a really awesome platform because you can edit a podcast, and obviously you guys are going to talk about this way more, right? But you can edit a podcast based on editing the transcript, right? So for everybody out there, you don't have to learn how to edit sound waves, right? You can literally just go into the transcript of your podcast and edit the actual file from there.
Yeah. You can also use the wave if you'd like, but the really cool thing about Descript, I think the thing that got folks so excited about it a few years ago when this came out was that it's text-based editing. Essentially, you can record right into Descript if you want, if you're recording a solo podcast, or you can drag files in and they'll automatically be transcribed in a language that you select. And then you go through your transcription and you can cut out your ums and your ahs and your repeated lines and jokes that you make that you don't actually think are funny upon second hearing of them, and you can edit it that way. And it's really efficient. And it's a really great way for folks who are maybe not familiar with the audio editing process or even the video editing process to be masters at editing their craft. I had zero idea how to edit video before I started working at Descript. But fun fact is that when you start working at Descript, you are tasked with creating an intro video to yourself, 5 minutes long, where you're supposed to use some of the elements within Descript to get a sense of the program and then also to show off your skills to the company. And by the end of that, I knew how to edit video. So that was a pretty cool skill that I gained on day 3 of working at this company. So truly anybody can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. At Podbean, I think for us, when you start, you have to create a sample podcast.
Oh, that's a lot.
It is. It's a short 3 I think mine was like a 3-minute meditation. I did 3 episodes. It was great.
Oh, so silence. That's the way to go. So everybody be quiet for
right. That's
a calm, soothing voice. It was great. And
I love that.
So what's great about Descript is that once you've utilized this editing suite, which is really easy to use, right? The UX on Descript is super user-friendly. Once you've edited your podcast to where you want it, you're literally just going to go up to the right hand. I think it's from where you guys are sitting. Is this my right?
Yeah.
Maybe this is my right. You're going to
It'll be to the right. Yeah,
exactly. To the right of the screen. And you're literally just going to select the drop down where it says published, and then Podbean will come up. And once you're logged into your Podbean account, you can literally upload from Descript to your Podbean account. It's really fantastic because you're not having to export any files. You're not having to re-upload any files, anything like that. So it really streamlines the process. And it also supports video as well, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, because you just want to make sure that you're on the right Podbean plan that supports video as well. You want to make sure you're on the Unlimited Plus or higher plan at Podbean, because if you're on the Unlimited Audio, it doesn't support video. So that's also a really important consideration in terms of like episode formats and that kind of thing. So for podcasters who may be new to Descript, or if you are a member of the Descript or Squadcast community and you're new to Podbean, first let's talk about Descript. What are some key things you should know about the integration?
Yeah. I think Christiana said something before that I want to echo here, which is that we really like to play nicely with others. So the fewer clicks that you have to take as a creator are the better. The issue that I think a lot of creators have is that they record on one platform, they then need to download that, then they upload that, and then they download that, and then they upload that to their hosting platform. And I saw that all in my head. I realized that I just said a lot of words out loud, and you know what I'm talking about, listeners or viewers.
Absolutely.
But yeah. It's a lot of uploading, downloading. Whereas with Squadcast into Descript into Podbean, it's Pretty much 2 clicks. Yeah. And we're going to show you on the screen what that looks like. But it's essentially, if you are recording on Squadcast or you're recording elsewhere, like I don't believe in it, but if you use Zoom and you record and you download your files, bring those into Descript, make your edits, you just go up to the top right of your screen. And when you're ready to publish, you can press the button that says publish to Podbean. So It is really as easy as that. A question that a lot of people have at this stage is they record a podcast. They love recording the podcast. Maybe they figured out the workflow when it comes to recording on Squadcast, editing into Descript, publishing to Podbean. But then they hear all over the internet that they also need to be recording video for their podcast. And a lot of people say to themselves, number one, okay, maybe that's something that I want to consider. But my hurdle here is, how do I edit video? And also, do I actually need to be recording the entire thing to put on YouTube, or can I be recording clips?
Yeah, no, this was also another thing I wanted to say in terms of like marketing and the clips.
Sure. So Christiana, do you want to talk a little bit about audiograms within Descript and kind of our recommendation when it comes to recording on Squadcast and then editing in Descript?
Totally. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, so I've learned this from Ariel a lot and her thoughts on this about whether or not you should be recording video. And I think our overall recommendation is yes, so you can at least have some sort of video assets, even if you're not making an entire video podcast. But even if you don't record video, you can still make video with Descript through our Audiograms feature, which is just a template. You throw a little template onto the clip that you choose, and you can put it up on Twitter or TikTok or wherever you want. You can completely customize what it looks like with the fonts, the colors, your logo, your podcast's cover art, whatever you want. And you can get a video asset from an audio-only podcast in, again, just a couple clicks, which is really great. And you can also, if you are recording video as well, you can make customized social clips really easily too. So like audiograms, one step higher, because it is your video, like your face, your guest's face. And yeah, we make it pretty easy to do that with templates. Yeah.
And speaking of video, it's something where, you know, obviously if you have a video podcast, that's one thing. And a lot of creators have video, utilize it, right? Whether you are hosting your video with Podbean, whether you're pushing out to YouTube, anything like that. And I think a lot of creators really feel pressure about video, right? So it's something where if you want to have your entire podcast episode video, do it, right? But don't feel like you have to. And I really love that aspect in terms of clips and just using what you can as well. Because I think there's something where in terms of your personal bandwidth and what's going to work for your show, it's going to be different for every creator and every show, right? It's going to be different for every podcast. But what's great about Descript is that it enables you to kind of really make the most out of the content that you have, like out of your raw audio or video. And so you're going to be able to take that, do the edits that you want to do, right? Whether that's, okay, your entire video episode directly published to Podbean from Descript, no download, no upload. Or if it's something where you're like, hey, I'm just noticing that like my audience really is an audio audience and I don't want to have the pressure of being on for the whole video recording, right? Maybe I want to scratch my nose, right? You never know what it is. So it's something where like you upload that audio, but then the video, you're going to have clips and you're going to be able to utilize those assets as well. So I think that's a really important aspect because video has a lot of benefits. Ariel, can you speak a little bit about that as well?
Yeah. The most obvious one is that your potential listeners or your existing listeners or viewers get to see who you are. It's a little bit more engaging in that way. You can play around with YouTube, TikTok, and Reels and the algorithmic boost that they might give you. They are way ahead of podcasts when it comes to pushing relevant content out to the right people who might be ready to receive it. And then there's a potential benefit when it comes to discovering new users. A lot of people are discovering podcasts lately by way of YouTube, TikTok, Reels, and other types of video sharing platforms. And what's interesting about that is that it may not always translate directly to people then clicking on your profile, finding your podcast, subscribing to your podcast, following your podcast, listening to your podcast week after week. But what it will do is raise your profile as an expert in whatever field it is that you are an expert in. So I think that it is absolutely worth it to be experimenting with clips. And when I say clips, I want to break down what that means. I don't just mean 5-minute clips. I don't mean 2-minute clips. I don't mean 30-second clips. I mean all of it, and you should be inconsistent. You should be testing. And I know that sounds like counterintuitive advice not to be consistent with your clips, but at this point, we as as creators, as audio to video creators, don't necessarily know what does well for the medium in general, but you as a creator probably don't know what does well for your audience yet because you haven't started testing. So try out some clips that are 15 seconds long, some that are 2 minutes long, some that are 5 minutes long, and try out using different colors, try out using different fonts, try out using a whole bunch of different things to make your videos and your clips exciting so that you might just grab people's attention and then they might become a fan of you and then follow you to your podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just a couple things you said there. In terms of TikTok, like you never know what's going to be a hit, right? On Podcasting Smarter, we just had Kaylin Moore from Heart Starts Pounding, which is an amazing like horror podcast, but it's not super scary. And like literally a huge proportion, a huge section of her audience came from TikTok. Like huge. Wow. Yeah. It literally thousands and thousands, like tens and tens of thousands of listeners are just directly funneling from TikTok. And that's because the way she tells the story of each episode with a green screen and it specifically like for the medium, but you never know what's going to be the success. So I think until you have that big hit on your hands in terms of a clip that went viral or a formula that really works, it's important to keep testing it out. And Christiane, I think also you said something earlier about clips and like having your face on them as well. And our last event with Kira Deneen from DNA Today, she also spoke about like how when she does a giveaway, and this is a podcast on genetics, when she does a giveaway, if it's like a book, if her face is next to the book, it does like exponentially better, right? The post is going to do better because her face is in it. And so there's like a subconscious psychological human aspect of people seeing your face. And as podcasters, I think is something where a lot of us want to hide behind the mic, right? A lot of us want to feel like, okay, you're creating this universe where someone is participating in the visuals of it with their imagination. But in terms of connecting with you, there is that aspect of how they're going to respond positively when they see another human as part of the experience. So I think that those are both really big aspects in terms of considerations when you're looking at clips and when you're breaking down your episodes. And like we were saying, in terms of your bandwidth, it's going to be different for every podcast and different for every podcaster, but it's also important to look at your niche, right? What's going to work with your niche, right? Like with Kaylin Moore, that's specifically like an amazing storytelling podcast in the horror genre. That genre is something where you're going to see a lot of storytelling, a lot of people who are specific to that genre get excited about a specific kind of content from social. So you can start to see those trends as they happen. And when you're looking at your production process, your bandwidth, how you're pulling clips, what templates are going to work on Descript, anything like that, I think that's a really important aspect as well. The next thing I want to talk about is trailers, right? Having a trailer for your podcast is really important. Ariel, you have Trailer Park. So
I love trailers.
Oh, Trailer Park is the coolest. Okay, so for everybody out there, it's a podcast that's just trailers, right? So it's called Trailer Park, which is a genius name for a podcast that plays podcast trailers. And trailers are really valuable, right? We had Tracy Nguyen Mong from the Vietnamese Boat People podcast come on and talk with us in May, and she was part of the Google Podcast Creators Program, and they were so focused on having a good trailer because it introduces people to your show in a way that they don't have to commit for a full episode, right? They can get a feeling about what the show's about and feel part of the experience in a very short period of time. So I think that Descript and that Podbean integration also has a lot of value in terms of everybody out there who doesn't have a trailer episode. It's not too late. You can label your episode as a trailer directly from the backend publishing on Podbean. You literally just go into more and then you mark it as a trailer and it'll just be at the top of your feed. And it's important.
I think that's an easy way for you to test out video also. So if you already have a trailer and you want to just create a social clip for it, or you want to create a video trailer for it and then mark it as a video trailer, or mark it as video on Podbean and then mark it as a trailer, that's a great way to test out without doing a full episode. So if you're looking for a call to action today, as you are listening to us right now, I think that's a great way to take it and run and see if that brings you anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've seen a lot of success with podcast trailers.
Yes, I advocate for people creating podcast trailers and making sure that they mark that they are a podcast trailer within Podbean or whatever it is that they are using to host their show, hopefully Podbean. And I think that's because, like you said before, it's an on-ramp for potential listeners. It means that that potential listeners do not have to commit to a 45-minute episode or a 60-minute episode, or however long your episodes normally are. It means that they get to just listen for sometimes 90 seconds to who you are, get a sense of the vibe of your show, and then decide if they want to become regular, loyal listeners. So that's a really great way. Another thing is that if you listen to podcasts on Apple and on Spotify, you'll see that there is a section, there's real estate dedicated to the trailer. So you can scroll towards the ratings and reviews on Apple, for example, and you'll see that you can just press a button and play trailer. And that is space for you to take advantage of, because there are going to be people who are searching for your keywords, finding your podcast, not wanting to commit for 45 minutes, but yes, wanting to commit for 90 seconds to decide if they like you or not. So it is not too late to make a trailer with existing content that your show has already produced, or for you to just go to Descript, type a script out for yourself, record it, and then make yourself a video and audio trailer.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, it's never too late. If your show's out there and you're already 100 episodes deep, it just reintroduces the show to people who haven't found it yet. So I think it's really important to understand that it's going to sit at the top of your feed and a couple of the top directories in a way that normal episodes won't. And it really does help your show. I mean, you have an entire podcast dedicated to trailers. Yeah. So
I'm a little biased here.
We could talk about trailers all day, every day. Christiana, I also want to talk to you next a little bit about some production pitfalls, because from the Descript side, right, you guys are seeing firsthand how people are using the software, how people are interacting in terms of what their production process looks like. But you're also seeing like where people are struggling, right? Where the drop off can be. So tell us a little bit about like how podcasters are overcoming that, and also how the integration really kind of adds to that as well.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, there's so many pitfalls that folks can fall into. Also, it's hard to know how much work a whole podcast actually takes before you start. I think a lot of people just start because they're excited, and then they're faced with the mountain of work that is involved, and that's it's hard. It's hard to stay motivated, and I think our goal with Descript is to make it as easy as possible to fight through all of the parts that are so tedious and so hard. Make it faster so that stuff that feels really tedious gets done quicker, so you can focus on what you actually love, whether that's scripting or storytelling in general. So yeah, on the Descript end, we're just constantly trying to add features to our editing suite, to our recording suite with Squadcast now, that makes it faster so you can focus on whatever it is that you love. Obviously, there's the Descript gateways like filler word removal.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite feature. I think we had a guest a while ago that called them crutch words. It's a word where you just say all the time. I think mine is absolutely. Right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I understand. And like, don't get me wrong, I love a good crunch word, especially if it's your signature. Or crutch
word. Yeah, because
like I'm always going, frankly, when it doesn't need to be said. Like anytime, I'm like, it's obviously, frankly, whatever.
Right.
And I know like Ariel's favorite is playback speed. There's all these unlocked.
I love that also. Yeah. When I'm editing, it's like, it's a 2-time playback speed. Yeah.
You got to do it. And then, of course, there's the AI tools that we're coming out with. We just launched a new one last week, sort of a redo of our AI voices, our overdub feature, and we're dropping new AI features through the end of the year that basically your little junior assistant is going to help you get your stuff done now. So that's our goal on the Descript side. And then with stuff like Podbean, we touched on this earlier, but just how can we eliminate the number of clicks that it takes you to get from point A to point B? And what's great with Podbean, I was trying this out earlier, is how once you hit publish, it just automatically opens a page for you with it already written out. The Descript project name is the name of your episode. It just makes it so easy so that you don't get lost in the downloading, re-uploading crosshairs that we were talking about earlier. So I think that's really the magic. We just try to get you in and out to your audience so they can listen to your stuff as quickly and efficiently as possible.
I think it's something where, when you're thinking about editing your podcast, it's something where what are the things that are going to help you just get from A to B? And we talk about this a lot at Podbean, specifically when we're talking about monetization, to be honest. How many podcasters go into it to learn about podcast ads? They're not going into podcasting to learn about the technology behind ad serve, right? They're going into podcasting because they love telling stories, because they want to connect with their audience, because they want to connect with their dream clients if they're using podcasting for their business, right? They have a specific intention. And a lot of the time, the nuts and bolts of making a show can really get in the way. So it's so important to just know what tools are out there, how to use them, and how to get the most out of them. So like we're saying today with Descript and Squadcast, you can literally record into editing, into publishing directly onto Podbean. There's no download, re-upload. There's no, oh no, I messed up this word, I got to re-record it. There's no, hey, I have to go through with a fine-tooth comb over every and but and, every kind of filler word. There's literally a filter where you can just 200 words. I think mine usually is an average. Don't judge. It's like an average of about 200 filler words.
Judgment
right?
free.
And you just literally one click and it's, oh, they're gone. Magic. And then directly from there, you literally go to publish and it directly uploads to Podbean. You're literally in the episode publishing portal. You're literally just popping in the show notes. Like that's it. So I think it's something where as a podcaster out there, knowing what tools there are to use, how to use them is so important. And we're so excited to chat with you guys today.
One more benefit I wanted to hit on was that with the Podbean and Descript integration, you can make edits to your project in Descript, change your episode, say you forgot something, you want to add something didn't end up coming out right after you listen to it the 100th time. You can make that edit in Descript and just re-upload that same episode to Podbean, and it will just replace it for you. So you don't have to delete it and publish a whole new episode. It'll just replace it.
Game changer.
Yeah, you can update your content without publishing a new episode, which is very handy.
Thank you guys so much for coming on to talk with us and showcasing the integration between Descript and Podbean, showcasing how those clips are pulled. It's just been really fun. And if any of you guys out there have any questions, obviously pop them here in the chat, as well as you can always email us at podcastingsmarter@podbean.com. Thank you everyone for joining us at Podcasting Smarter for our November live event, Mastering Podcast Editing, a deep dive into Descript and Podbean publishing with Ariel Nissenblatt and Christiana Cromer from Descript, where we're talking all about Descript and the Podbean integration and how to streamline your podcast production process. For those of you who may be joining us for the first time, Podcasting Smarter has live stream sessions like this one with top podcasters and experts throughout the industry. We also have exclusive recorded episodes on the Podcasting Smarter podcast. If you joined late or want to have another listen to this conversation, you can replay this live stream on Podbean's YouTube channel, and we'll have it up on the Podcasting Smarter podcast. We are brought to you by Podbean. We're a podcast hosting and monetizing platform and home to over 640,000 podcasts. To start your podcast, head over to podbean.com today. And if you have any questions, like I've mentioned, you can always email us at podcastingsmarter@podbean.com. Thank you so much for joining us, and stay tuned for more podcasting tips and best practices in December and the new year. Thanks, everybody.